I'd like to call to order the Morton Grove Public Library Board of Trustees regular meeting on July 12th. Oops, January 12th. I need new glasses.
Snowing on us again.
Will we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Secretary Berg, will you call the roll?
Certainly will. Mr. Albers,
Here.
Mr. Berg, here. Dr. Kellerman,
Here.
Mr. Goldstein. Here. Mr. Hoffman.
Here.
Mrs. Peters.
Here.
Mrs. Quinn is absent. Okay.
Okay, approval of board minutes, December 8th, 2011 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move that the minutes be approved as written December 8, 2011.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions, corrections? If not, can I have a vote?
Does everyone approve the minutes?
Yes.
Yes, anybody, just, want to take a hand vote? Everybody approve?
Approve.
Okay, thank you. Minutes approved.
Executive session, December 8th, 2011. Approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move that the executive session minutes for December 8th be approved as presented.
I'll second it.
Comments or corrections? If not, can I have a vote?
Sorry, I thought you were doing the ballot first.
December 8th executive session.
I'm sorry. There were a couple little changes to December.
Okay.
Can we go back and visit that, please? I thought we were doing it in order of the year, the month.
We did board meeting December 8th, didn't we? Now we're in executive session.
I know, but we meant to make two little changes there. I thought they were starting with November and then doing December. Is it okay to fix the minutes?
What do you have?
No monetary penalty on the one and is allocated at on the other.
Where is this?
I'll tell you when he gives us an opinion.
Oh,
I thought we were starting with something first. That was my problem.
minutes of exec. So that should,
The last page of the executive session is attached to the regular minutes, and then the last page of the...
check your last page in your December 8th, 2011 regular board session. It
In
looks
which
like there's
packet?
an extra copy of some executive session.
Just switch the last,
Oh.
switch page to the last page of the regular...
In which packet?
I want you to give an extra
Oh, I didn't look at that packet. I was looking at my other
I
packet.
read the notes.
Why were we given an extra copy today?
There was a change made to the minutes. The minutes didn't include the roll call vote going into executive session and the roll call vote coming out of executive session.
Oh, then which ones are we supposed to be looking at? The ones that we were given tonight are the ones we were supposed to be
Those are
looking at?
those are the ones you're approving, are the ones you were given tonight.
Oh, okay, I was looking at the ones in the packet. Yeah. So can we start that over again then, Frank?
You would need to make a motion to reopen the agenda to bring up that issue again.
Okay.
to move to reconsider, if you so choose.
I make a motion to reconsider looking at the minutes since we were looking at two separate sets of papers here
Well,
Of December 8th board meeting.
of the December 8th board meeting.
I'll second that.
Any objections? Can I have a vote on that?
Can we do a hand vote to reconsider the notes?
Sure. What changes do we have?
Okay, so we're gonna.
So did that motion carry then?
Yes.
Yes.
Under President's Report, number 6, no financial penalty. Added the word financial.
1, 2, 3, violation of Open Meeting Act,
Right, no financial penalty. And under under 8, on page 3, right above the word policy, the 2012 target spending on ADA improvement compliant projects, it says currently would amount to approximately 40 to 50,000. Change the, strike the word to and add the words is allocated at.
All right. Motion to approve with changes?
And we have to remove a page of, depending on which one we're going to.
If you look at the last page of the ones that were at the chair, that's the last page of the executive session, it's page 2 of the executive
Okay.
session.
So, and removing,
So switch that
mhm.
with the
And
last.
so this set of minutes will end with,
No, you're gonna add page 5 of the regular board meeting with the second page of your executive session notes on December 8th. The ones that were at the next week. The ones that were in person.
Okay, it looks like the last pages, when these were put together today, the last pages of the December 8th regular and December 8th executive got swapped.
Yeah.
that's what we're, yeah.
So,
Right, so that's the third change, is that we'll swap those two pages. Okay.
There was another thought brought up in the policy that I thought I made a point as to how much could be spent on that, and it's not listed. So if I still have a copy of that with me.
Are you suggesting a change to the minutes?
Well, yes, I mean, it was done at the time. It was stated at the time, but
I didn't hear what you were talking about originally, so what did you think was missing?
well, the fact that the law, as I understood it, and it was given to me by a lawyer, that it has to be a certain, here it is. If the alteration costs 15% or less of the reproduction cost of the public facility, the element or space being altered shall comply with the applicable requirements for new construction. That was not mentioned at all. You can't do this. You can't do the changes without following the law.
So trustee Goldstein, you're requesting that the minutes reflect your statement
Yes.
in them? Okay,
Absolutely.
all right, so,
It was raised at the time, it was not included.
do you want that as part of your motion?
No.
Okay, well, can we address that then?
So we need to amend.
Hold on my motion and then Pat's motion.
All right, so then we'll do trustee Peters' motion to amend, and then we'll do trustee Goldstein's motion.
Motion amend, then we'll accept.
And then once you have amended set of minutes, then you would need to approve those. Okay?
Do I have a motion to, your motion is, I didn't get a second on yours. I need a second on trustee Peters.
What's your
Take a
motion
vote on
again?
this one.
My motion is to swap the pages that were incorrectly
Okay.
stapled,
Okay.
to add the word financial under number 6, and to strike the word to and put in the word
Allocated.
allocated. Yeah. That's my motion.
Compliance of projects
I'll,
would be allocated at $40,000 to $50,000.
So you straighten it out too.
Yes.
I'll approve the motion.
Allocated.
Second.
Or did you approve, who approved?
No, it has, I
We
made
now
it.
need a-
I made it. We need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, now you do.
And now we can have a vote on that, and then we will
Okay,
amend.
do we all know what we're voting on?
Yes.
I'm not sure, but you repeat
Should we
it.
go over it? Okay, we're voting on swapping the pages, adding the word financial, and then on the final page, I believe it is, we're adding.
Page 3,
Page 3, we're adding,
striking the word
writing the
to.
word to and adding is allocated at approximately 40 to 50,000. Okay.
Are you leaving the word amount?
Would be allocated
Allocated at.
How is that going to read? Is that going to?
Projects would
at,
be allocated at. Take out the amount, word amount.
So you're going to say amount to and approximately? Or you're going to
The
leave it
2012
approximately?
project spending on ADA improvement compliance projects would be allocated at approximately.
Okay.
Would be allocated at.
striking amount and to.
Can we take a vote on that?
I think it's incorrect.
Oh, you're going to give an amendment.
Yes.
And you can vote no then.
I have to vote no, but I think you should all be aware of this before we vote, because it does change it. I'm talking about Title 71, Section 400.510, Public Facility Alterations, Minimum Requirements. And this is state law.
Well, minutes reflect what was talked about in the meeting, so we can
It
put
wasn't-
that into the meeting.
But there was no,
It was mentioned in the meeting, and it wasn't in the notes.
but what I'm saying is you're gonna make a motion after this motion
To go
to
ahead.
have your
Put this
comment
in.
be placed in the minutes.
Yeah, so let's
And then,
let's
and
put
then
this
the other
in.
point that I would make is the minutes are talking about what was discussed, but there is no motion for an expenditure of funds for any improvements contained in this, in that section of the
It
minutes.
seemed to me that there was, but if you're saying no, there was not.
No, I think you would have to,
There would be a motion or a vote, and there was not.
I understand, but the way it's stated, it's stated as if it could be done, and I object to that.
So can I have a
Let's,
vote to approve with trustee Peters?
Vote to accept
Vote
let's
to
accept what
accept.
we have.
the amendments.
Let's take a voice vote. I will vote yes. Dr. Kellenbach?
Yes.
Mr. Goldstein?
No.
Okay, Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Peters?
Yes.
And Mr. Elbers?
Yes.
It's five to one.
Trustee Goldsmith's motion.
Now trustee Goldstein's motion to add the
Although I
notes.
would like one more question in here. It says trustee Peters said that the $4 million was quoted for the improvement of the entire building. That also is incorrect.
It's what I stated. The minutes reflects what was, it's a historical
I'm just telling you,
statement.
no, but actually, we had a survey done of the building, and it was over $20 million to conform. Just so you're aware, yes, it's written, I can,
I saw 4.1.
Yeah.
no.
That's the one I read.
Read it again.
This, yeah, so for
But
the
anyway,
sake of approving.
I would
the
like
minutes.
to mention,
All right.
make a motion, that we have to follow Title 71, Public Buildings, Facilities, and Real Property, And alterations, minimum requirements is in section 400.510. And it specifically says that all public facilities, alteration costs 15% or less. If the alteration costs 15% or less of the reproduction cost of the public facility, the element or space being altered shall comply with the applicable requirements for new construction. And then it goes further, it says see sections.
If I can
100.
suggest, I'm sorry to cut you off, if I can suggest, would you want the minutes to say Trustee Goldstein stated that the board must follow, and then if you could give me that citation, we can put that in any, and then we'll put that citation in any.
All public facilities must comply.
What I was going to say is so Trustee Goldstein had stated that the board must follow, give me that citation,
Title 71.
71.
okay?
Yes.
In any,
And section particularly 400.510.
400.510,
Yes.
okay? So follow Title 71, Section 400.510 in any renovation to the building.
Yes, and
Okay.
just to go back to the point of $19 million, that was to get this facility up to par for the needs of the library. Yes, it was.
It was one of the
I think
bids on
you've
the
got
new
that one
building.
flip-flopped,
Yeah.
but we can cover that one
Okay.
later. So now I need a,
I have-
Second one,
So-
second
I,
one.
I,
We need
I
somebody
want,
to
I want,
I'll second it.
can I get a sec, we have a second.
Okay,
I
Trustee
wanted
Berg
to
wants to
question,
discuss.
I wanted to question Mr. Goldstein on one thing. When we say approximately 40 to 50,000, how does that fit in to Title 70?
It depends upon what the actual cost for the total would be to get it up to par. And we don't, evidently, we have a difference of opinion on what it would cost to get the building up to par as far as the serving disabilities.
Okay, so now if we could get back on topic of the minutes,
All right.
did I have a second to approve Trustee Goldstein's yes from Mr. Huff?
Okay, Mr. Hoffman.
Can I have a vote, please?
Okay, let's
I
do
think you
it.
should all look at it before you vote, so you know what I'm talking about.
No, we're just
Oh,
voting
you
on
read
whether
it.
or not to put your sentence in or
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
in the
Because
minutes. That's what
We
we're voting
have
on,
to,
is what
we have to
reflect
follow
the
that,
minutes.
we have to follow that anyway, Art,
Okay,
no
Yeah.
matter what. That's the law.
Yeah.
We have to follow it.
fine.
It's not a question of, it's a question of putting it in and saying we're
Well, I
going to
just
follow
thought
the
you
law.
might want to look at it so you know what we're talking about, because it would help you understand the vote.
No, it's good with me. Dr. Kelme?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Goldstein?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Elbers?
Yes.
And Mr. Berg is yes. 6-0.
Now you need a motion
So
to
now motion
approve
to approve the minutes.
the minutes as amended.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
We have a vote.
Who put the first out there?
Me.
Okay. All right. Can we just do a hand vote here? Anybody object? No one? Okay. All right, thank you.
Approval of minutes, board meeting November 10, 2011.
Well, so then we have to,
Oh.
the executive session has to swap out that last page.
Okay.
Need a
Yes,
motion
last
by,
page.
need a motion by Peters and I think.
So now we've got that page to correct.
Yeah.
So now we're.
I move on the December 8th minutes, executive session minutes, to swap out the 2 pages that were just a clerical switch, and
Sure.
otherwise approve the minutes as submitted.
Is there a second?
Is this on the executive?
This is the executive. Do I have a second on this?
Second.
Does anyone object to the passing of these?
Questions or corrections? If none, vote.
Okay. 6-0, passed.
Paul, you gotta call it out.
Yes.
You want to call
It's a
that?
roll call vote.
Okay, it's a roll call vote, okay. Albers?
Yes.
Berg, yes. Calvin?
Yes.
Goldstein?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Peters?
Yes.
Approved.
Board meeting, November 10, 2011. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the board minutes of November 10th, 2011.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any comments or corrections?
I just talked to corporate counsel who tells me that it was not an open meeting violation I've been accused of in this agenda, but a closed session confidentiality violation. I didn't know what that was. Once again, I want to reiterate, I asked President Albers to explain this to me before the meeting via email and never got a reply of what I was being accused of. And as of now, I'm still not sure what I'm being accused of, but during this meeting, the meeting in question, and last month's meeting, I believe it was mentioned quite repeatedly that it was an Open Meetings Act violation I was being accused of. And we all know that not to be the case because the Open Meeting Act prohibits violation of that kind because it actually encourages it.
It does not encourage it.
Did you read the thing? Did you read?
Yeah, it said you can't be prosecuted for it. It's a far cry from encouraging it.
It said would only serve as an obstacle to the effective enforcement of the act and a shield behind which opponents of open government could hide.
That's hardly encouraging it.
I think that is encouraging. But since that's
That's
not what I'm
unfortunate
being
for us
accused
as a
of,
board.
if this is
isn't
a
it?
bylaw violation, would not the Open Meeting Act override the bylaws? Because
You violated the bylaws. It's as simple as that. Were you not the secretary for several years? As secretary, do you not
for
know?
8 months. And did you not say that,
It's sad.
that any state statute overrides any bylaws? Was that not out of your voice? Because it's in these minutes here.
We're talking about what Trump's
So-
was,
so-
not what's
so the Open
valid
Meeting
and
Act-
what's
The Open Meeting Act trumps any bylaws the board has. So whatever.
Okay, thank you. If there's no further discussion, can I have a vote on the minutes?
Okay, we'll do a voice vote. Mr. Berg, yes. Dr. Callamag?
Yes.
Mr. Goldstein? Mr. Hoffman?
No.
Mrs. Peters?
Yes.
And Mr. Albers?
Yes.
Passes 5-1.
Public comments tonight. Doesn't look like we have much public, so we'll go right on. President's report. Welcome to the new year. Since the last meeting, the library's been in the news a couple of times, and I would be errant if I didn't point out an article that was in the Champion on December 26, whereby the author of the article, Catherine Grand, incorrectly put a statement in here that said the library director, Ben Shapiro, abruptly left in July, and that residents learned this month that the board fired him. That's not the case. This board did not fire Mr. Shapiro. He did in fact submit a resignation letter. So that's the first part. There was a second article from Catherine Brand, January 5, 2012, again in the Pioneer Press, where she incorrectly quoted our director, Kevin Justine, saying that there would be a $5 reduction in the portion of a property owner's tax bill. So Kevin, you didn't make that statement. And it's actually an almost 5% decrease in the amount of tax from the library. So there's also another comment in here of a concern that the budget did not include a buffer in case of an emergency, since the special reserve fund has a cushion of $144,000. This board thought the reserve fund was adequate and therefore passed the budget. So it would be my hopes in the future that Ms. Grant pays a little bit more attention to the details. And that would conclude my report. So treasurer's report?
We had our treasurer's meeting our finance meeting on Tuesday, as we do every month before our cash statement this month. We have a total of $2,251,386.99. We received a little bit more than what we expected to from the tax revenue this year. We have made a couple of small changes to the way that we're going to do the accounts. When the Harris Bank account falls below 1,700, it will be replenished to that amount. And when, let's see, what was the other one? The money market, right, Blanche? When it will always, when it hits 10,000, that money will be transferred, split into the operating fund or used to replenish the Harris Bank account. Other than that, there aren't any changes in that. Things with PMA are working along, are coming along very well. At the moment, the directors are working with, on all the papers have been signed in order to turn things over to them. And now the directors are working closely with Ms. Rios from PMA in order to get the accounts moved over from management. So I want to thank Kevin and Natalia for that. Does anybody have any questions on either the income statement or the cash statement or any of the checks?
If none, the treasurer's report is accepted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Committee reports, anything from the finance committee?
I melted it in.
We're good. All right, building and grounds.
From the people that we hired to do the investments.
That's what I was just saying. Mhm.
Have you heard from them?
Yeah, we gave you that email yesterday, Tuesday at the meeting from PMA with the list of questions. You were at the meeting.
They haven't started distributing anything yet.
No, we have to finish that. We have to finish,
Okay, I understand.
yeah, we're in process.
Okay, finance committee, does building and grounds have anything to report?
The only thing I'd report is that regarding our request to make the building more ADA compliant, I've talked with Mayor Stackman about people in the village, and he referred me to Andy DeMonte, and I got the word out to DeMonte, and I haven't heard anything yet. And before we do anything, there's more important things to do. I eventually want to see how the staff, we talked about informal comments regarding some of the issues we brought up. And I was just wondering if perhaps people on the staff are talking, are they leaning one way or the other? What's the general pulse of the staff regarding changes, if any?
We discussed, or we brought it up at a department head meeting some weeks ago, but I think between holidays and
Yeah,
vacations and illnesses, it
yeah. There's,
hasn't gotten
I
beyond
mean,
that.
it's nothing pressing. It's just that we need to just keep the lines of communication open.
Yep.
And see which way we're trending. Okay, thank you.
All
That's all I
right,
have for you.
thank you. Policy committee met. I guess I'll take this one. It'll be covered under new business, but there is a new credit card usage policy and a change to the lost and damaged materials policy, which we will cover under new business. That would conclude policy. Staff reports from our directors.
Just a few things to mention, some of which we already highlighted in the written report. Excuse me. In early December, we did a minor reconfiguration of the teen area and also implemented new procedures for dealing with noise and other disciplinary issues in the library. And the combination of those things has had a huge effect in reducing the noise and issues with the teens in the teen area. So we're really happy with how that has turned out. We got the website redesign RFP out this week
Great.
and expect to have a recommendation ready for the next board meeting. We, at the very end of December, removed the last remaining VHS tapes, giving us more space for DVDs, which is needed both upstairs and in children's.
And you made the paper with that one.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was in the
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's see, next week is our first Friday payday, moving from Wednesday, so we have everything in place for that. As you saw, the January and February Books and Beyond was reconfigured to 12 pages.
And I have to tell you, I've gotten some commentary from a couple of people around town that like it. So they said it was easier to read, easier to follow, thought the content was a little more on what they were looking for.
Okay. Well, we will soon be beginning work with Karina to redesign it completely. So we will
Great.
take that and then go further.
Make it even better.
Yes,
Wonderful.
Yes. Though we won't be, it seems unlikely we would need to put this into effect tomorrow. The snow is not going to be that bad. We thought it would be worth just briefly mentioning what our closing procedures are when we have weather like this. Generally, assuming it's while we're discussing this, while we're here, while the library is open, the directors in consultation with the department heads usually make the decision whether to close early, close the next day, or whatever, and then contact the board president or work down the chain just for final approval. And assuming that it is agreed that we should close, we post it on our homepage. As we mentioned in the last meeting, we now will be included in the emergency closing center, so it can be available online.
Kevin, is there a general guideline of how much snow you get before is it just kind of an eyeballing thing?
It
Depends how fast it comes down and
Right.
how.
Yeah, so we were talking about it early this morning, if all 8 inches were coming like after midnight tonight, then we would certainly consider it. Consider it could be more likely, but, the 8 inches coming starting at midday today, it didn't seem like we knew much.
And are there procedures in place so that staff has plenty of warnings so that they're not on the road coming here?
Well, we can't eliminate it completely, someone who lives far away like I do, there's nothing you can do, but when we were talking about it today, and in the past, we've usually agreed that we would make the decision by 7 o'clock. So presumably people would be called by 7:15, and probably not too many people would be leaving before that.
Well, I was wondering if you could just blast email people.
Well, I think anybody who is, if they're going to check, they can check the homepage and now the ECC. So, it is out there someplace that they can check and not have to wait for a phone call if necessary. So, and yes, our cash register at the surf desk, he died a couple weeks ago. So we had to have an emergency replacement of that. That's it.
I'd like to make a comment on the creativity and resourcefulness of the way the magazines were handled this year, giving Morton Grove residents who actually through their taxpayer money buy the magazines to begin with, giving them an opportunity to get the copies of the magazines that would have otherwise been destroyed. Thank you.
That was Laura Murph, our serials cataloger, was the person behind that.
And what happened was she just put an article in Books and Beyond, because this was our procedure for many years, but nobody kind of knew about it, and it shows that people read Books and Beyond. So that's why it was.
We're good. All right, corporate counsel, anything tonight?
Just a couple of items, thank you. I reviewed your policy changes that you have, and both of those look fine to me, that you have up for action tonight. Secondly, I sent everyone an email just updating them and advising them that effective January 1st of this year, 2012, there's an amendment that went into effect to the Open Meetings Act that requires all of the public officials, the members of the public body, to have the Public Access Counselors Open Meetings Act and Freedom of Information Act electronic training. And in the email that I sent you, I gave you the link to the Public Access Counselors website and how you can go through registering to complete that training, and then you will get a certificate, which then under the amendment, you're supposed to have that on file here at the library office. Now, the good news is that you have a year to complete the training, so Trustee Hoffman's got his done already. Fantastic, fantastic. So that's one down and 6 to go. So you have a year to complete that training, so by January 1st, 2013. But hopefully everybody's going to have it done before then.
And is it done on a yearly basis then? Or when's it?
No, just you got to complete that training.
I thought there was something about new trustees having
There,
finished
there is
at
new
a
trustees.
different time.
Well, the new trustees would have 90 days from the date that they take office.
Oh, I see.
But anybody that's serving as of January 1st would have the full year to take that. But hopefully, like I said, everybody's going to get it done before then, because I'll probably be hounding you on it. And then lastly, I did review and am prepared to discuss the WIN contract. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Monroe Public Library credit card usage policy. Kevin or Natalia, want to discuss this one?
Well, it pretty much just puts into official policy the way we have done things for quite a while. Was a little more control and better record keeping on things, but it's not drastic change how we've been doing things.
And it was done in response to SIGIT request, and his management letter, they said that they recommend we have a credit card policy.
Auditor wanted it.
Yes,
Okay.
so that's why we did.
This isn't a motion of the life, it's just accepted by the board.
You're setting the policy, but
Yes.
yeah, you should support a motion to approve.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve our new credit card policy?
I'll make a motion we approve it.
And is there a second?
I'll second it.
And if there are no questions, comments, or concerns, let's have a vote.
Mr. Albers,
Yes.
Mr. Byrd, yes. Mr. Kellbeck,
Yeah.
Mr. Goldstein,
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman,
Yes.
Mr. Peters,
Mrs. Peters?
Mrs. Peters,
Yeah.
and Mrs. Quinn.
Yes, here now.
All
Sorry
right.
for the delay, I know the traffic. Yes.
All right, accepted. And we have a change to our lost or damaged materials policy.
The main thing changing here was, in the past, and for many, many years, we charged for a lost book the list price of the book. The price that we would actually pay was less, but the difference went for all the processing that has to be done to any materials that are replaced. And in the days before Amazon and the internet, that made sense. Now, when everybody loses a book, can go online and find it for 20% less than that full price cost. For several years, patrons had been questioning what we were charging and not necessarily understanding why we were charging a higher price for the processing, or to include the processing charges. So we decided to make it more clear what we're doing. Charge the actual price that we pay, the discounted price, but then have a standard $5 processing charge added on to that price. So the end result is the same more or less, but it's more clear what's being done and why.
I'll
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve that, the lost and damaged materials policy.
Second.
Have a vote?
Okay. Mrs. Quinn,
Yes.
Mrs. Peters,
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman,
Yes.
Mr. Goldstein,
Yes.
Dr. Kellenbach,
Yes.
myself, yes, Mr. Alpers, yes.
Yes. Okay, wonderful. New business 10C, trustee training and FOIA or OMA. Council covered that one, thank you. So
Do we just turn
the
it
sooner the
in?
better.
We print out the certificate and then turn it into one of you guys?
That's the last step in the process. It says, here's your certificate. Print it.
No.
Where is the training?
It's online.
online.
It's online.
You have a link on your,
Scroll.
I have to do it. Sorry.
Trustee Berg, I believe that at the library here, they can set you up with a computer that help you through the process.
Offline.
Should we take bets down who's the
Wait.
last one?
Wait, you'll guess. Well, we made a big decision at our home. We decided our computer isn't quite as bad. It's just us.
it happens. All right, let's move to communications. We actually had one this month. I assume a
No,
member of the
we
community.
didn't do WIN D.
Well, when we're going to cover an executive session. Communications, the board received an email, I believe, from a Morton Grove resident who had a single question, more or less directed at trustee Quinn. And it's, so if you could answer this one, I'll send them a response. But it just says, I noted in the Pioneer Press that Krista Quinn and her family have sold their home in Morton Grove. Are she and her family continuing to live in Morton Grove?
Yes.
Yes.
No, my address has changed, but my home number still remains the same, and our mail is still delivered here in North Grove, and we're still registered voters. So yes,
I will respond, thanks.
thank you.
And that's the only communications I have. Public comments for non-agenda items. Doesn't look like we'll have any. So, that's going to move us into executive session to discuss the win. And we're going to be talking about directors. You got it? Not this one. Yeah.
Okay, I move that we adjourn to executive session, or move to go into executive session in order to discuss a matter that may result in litigation along with the director search.
And do I have a second?
I'll second that.
If no discussion, can I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Berg, yes. Dr. Kellenbach,
Yes.
Mr. Goldstein,
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman,
Yes.
Mrs. Peters,
Yes.
Mrs. Quinn,
Yes.
Mr. Alpers.
Yes. Motion carries. Move into executive session. Okay, we're back in open session at 8:31. Before you leave tonight, trustees, if you would leave the executive session minutes, so Kevin can dispose of them. And if there are no more topics, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
We have a vote. Do I have a second?
Dr. Kellenbach.
Do we have to?
If there are
mention
no-
that we're going to still be editing starting
No,
tomorrow?
if there are no objections, we are adjourned. Thank you.